Hey Mark.
Hey Bart.
You know, it's a little cold down here in the museum. Do you have a jacket?
It does get a little musty, so I keep some jackets on hand. How about Leo DeRocher's jacket from when he managed the Houston Astros?
Leo DeRocher? Famed manager Leo DeRocher? Do you have any other outerwear from Houston that represents the legacy of the Astros?
Actually, no.
Bummer. So, some cool old Astros stuff. Wait a second, that's not the Houston Astros.
No, they were the Colt 45s when they first came into existence in 1962. They lasted 3 years, and the gun company actually sued them for trademark infringement.
Right, the owner changed the name because the Colt Firearm Company wanted a cut. But, you know, it was logical anyway because they were moving to the Astrodome. And look what you got.
What we have is an amazingly rare home jersey.
Sweet.
The word Colts is formed by the smoke that comes out of the barrel of the gun in beautiful fashion, and it's what we call a chenille. It's embroidered directly into the material. It's one of those things, they wore the jersey only at home. It just simply said Houston on the chest on their road jerseys. So they wore this for 3 years and very few have survived. So this is a really unique one.
So is this game worn?
This is game worn by a fellow named Johnny Temple.
Johnny T.
He spent a lot of his career with the Reds. He's one of my favorites of the era. And there's really not many players that you could have a better example of for a Colt 45 jersey. Joe Morgan would be the best. He wore the shirt very briefly in 1965. But Johnny Temple was an all-star player and one of the best names you could possibly have on a Colt 45 jersey.
So cool. Can we see the back?
Absolutely.
Oh, look at that. You know, those numbers remind me of the Giants.
It's almost identical to a Giants jersey on the back. Yeah, it's very close. The style of the font, the colors. This jersey is from 1962, so this is an inaugural year jersey.
Size 44.
It's in amazing condition. There's really no flaws to speak of. It's all original, no restoration, and just can't stress how rare it is and how coveted it is by uniform collectors. There just simply aren't enough to satisfy the demand.
Colt 45s.
Yeah.
If you got a jersey, you need a hat, right?
You got to have the hat too. This one is what they wore with that jersey. It's never been worn, so I can't attribute it to any player specifically, but it's kind of cool in that it says 45s and they actually included the little period there to show that it's 45 caliber.
The .45s.
Yeah, so nice attention to detail there.
The Houston .45s doesn't really roll off the tongue as much.
Not quite as much, but cool hat nonetheless, and a really tough one to find. It's made by Tim McAuliffe. You can see the tagging there. Really high quality. You can see it has a leather sweatband and KM company.
Yeah, so the brim's not broken, never worn, right?
Never worn, never broken. Hopefully I won't break it here, but it's just a beauty of a hat and a really tough one to find.
I dig it.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Okay, now that's the Astros. I can read.
This is the Astros, and boy, did they have a magnificent jersey with the shooting star. Such an iconic logo. This is a first-year jersey from 1965.
From the Colt 45s right to that, right?
Yes, this is their first-year style as the Astros. This one was worn by Sonny Jackson. Pretty good little shortstop that they had back then. Again, it's all original. It's beautiful. The embroidery is still that chenille style. It's embroidered right into the jersey itself. Another team that did that was the St. Louis Cardinals throughout the years. But just looks pretty spectacular with this orange and blue color scheme, I think.
Sure does. Nice little patch there on the shoulder.
Yeah, the sleeve patch is all original. It shows the Astrodome, first year, which was a real accomplishment in its day. Indoor baseball was such a novelty. The whole concept of AstroTurf, which was of course fake grass, had everybody buzzing about baseball indoors. Of course, the space program was big at the time. And since they couldn't be the Colt 45s, what thing better to be than the Houston Astros? It really did capture the imagination of the fans.
So are there a lot of these?
It's a tough style. It really is. You just don't see many of them. They did carry through this shooting star style into the early 70s when they transitioned to knit jerseys. So to find it on a flannel jersey is especially rare. The knit jerseys are cool too, and they go for a lot of money. They're zipper fronts, and they really are attractive as well. But of course I'm drawn to the flannels, and this being a first-year style. So this is it. This is a historic jersey worn by a pretty good player, Sonny Jackson.
The first jersey of the Houston Astros. And that is an orange hat.
Yeah, it's an orange, beautiful hat. It's actually made of nylon, whereas most of the hats were made of wool back then.
The Astros have always been progressive that way. Remember the Funky Jersey episode with the polyester jerseys? And now here's a nylon hat.
Same kind of thing here, a little before their time. They kind of wanted to have that futuristic element, be forward thinking, and I think they certainly were with this hat. It's a beautiful hat. This one is actually worn by Jimmy Wynn.
Oh yeah, Jimmy Wynn. He's a good player.
He was a great player, perennial all-star, and not a big guy, but he had a lot of power. That's why they called him the Toy Cannon. I thought that was one of the better nicknames of the day.
Wynn swings and drives deep into left field. Look at this one go, everybody. Up to the scoreboard. It's over the scoreboard, bouncing up onto the freeway. I can see it up there where those automobiles are going. Look at that drive.
This is an early 70s hat, and it's made by New Era. And this one doesn't have a leather sweatband. They weren't doing that quite so much in the 70s. This one has a typical cloth sweatband, but it has really nice use. You can see the puckering of the sweatband from when he actually sweat. A little bit of bleeding in his number 24. Just a perfect example, just what you want to see with a game-used cap. Used but not abused.
I love just like when we were kids and we wrote our number on our hat with a marker, and pros did it too.
You know, earlier hats would have a player's name embroidered into the sweatband, but that dates back to the 20s, 30s. Really the way that we identify these things is a marker on the underside of the brim or sometimes on the inside of the crown. It's just a prime example of an Astros hat in the early 70s.
And game worn by the Toy Cannon himself.
One of their best, all-star many times.
Love it. Hey everybody, stay tuned for part 2 of Cool Houston stuff right here on the TSOG channel. Hey again everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe. I did. We are in Chicago, right?